Okay, so to do the enzyme measurement, we're going to still go to Enzyme Kinetics 1 and we're going to create the same set of tubes. So there'll be this enormous rack of sodium hydroxide, there'll be water, a buffer, and there'll be the rack with the substrate, pNPP, and the enzyme. Now, on this particular occasion, we don't need the PNP, but it's part of the same experimental setup. So the key thing is not to get confused between the two. Now, the way that this experiment's going to work is we're going to set up an incubation of the substrate, pNPP, with the enzyme, and that enzyme is just going to be diluted in the appropriate buffer, as is the pNPP. So we're actually going to set up two large tubes. So we create two slots, say that we want the large tubes, and there are going to be two of them. And here they are. And just as before, it's quite convenient. I'm actually going to label these tubes. So I'm going to click on them, click rename, and I'm going to call this one tube A. And I'm going to call this one tube B, exactly as we're going to do in the practical class. And then I'm going to take 1 mil of the enzyme and I'm going to dilute it with a mil of buffer. So let's take 1 mil of enzyme and suck that up. And I might just refresh the pipette tip and put a mil of buffer in. And having done that, I'm going to mix because I think it's a really good idea just to get the mixing done, get it out of the way. Close the lids of the things that you don't want. Now we're going to put a mil of the pNPP in with 3 mils of buffer. So we're going to need to use a P5000 and suck up the buffer, put it in, close the lid and mix. Very important to mix. So we've got our substrate and our enzyme ready to go. Now the reactions we're going to do are going to be, I'll just bring this back over because we're going to mix a mil of this in with the substrate in B. And as soon as this enzyme here hits this tube, it's going to start the reaction. Now, we're going to take samples tube B at various stages and we're going to put them into sodium hydroxide. So we're actually going to set up a rack with, I think it's 10 tubes. It might be 11, but it doesn't really matter. We only need enough tubes to give us enough time points. And we're going to set up this very, very large rack. And that means that we really do need to zoom out. And we're going to put 4.5 mils of sodium hydroxide in each of the tubes. Now, this sodium hydroxide is going to stop the reaction and it's also going to develop any color. Now, each of the big tubes at the back will only hold 15 mils. So each of the tubes at the back will only do 3 dispensing of the ones at the front. Just keep your eye on that when you're doing this. In the real lab, of course, you will have a dispenser. So you'll just go over to the dispenser and squeeze on the dispenser and it will do everything that we're doing now. So we've got our tubes set up. Each of them has got 4.5 mils. Next step is that we're going to add the enzyme, the diluted enzyme, into the substrate tube B, and that is just 1 mil. So we could still use the P5000, but let's use the P1000 as we've already got that done. Before we do it, we're going to activate our stopwatch. So I'm going to suck up 1 mil of A, put it into B, immediately get rid of the pipette, immediately close the lid, immediately mix, start the stopwatch, and then with my pipette set to 500, I'm immediately going to take some of that sample and put it into the first tube. That was 10 seconds. Now I'm going to do this every minute. So I'm just going to take 0.5 ml every minute and put it in another tube. Now, let's actually just get rid of this pipette and close the lid and mix it. Really good idea to keep that mixing. So I've got 25 seconds. Wait until the 1 minute sample. So let's create the pipette. Let's get ready to take the sample. I'm already getting bored. I'm already bored. There's 10 seconds to go. It feels like a faculty meeting. So I'll show you how we can speed things up in a minute, but I'm going to go in, take the sample at a minute and squeeze it into the tube. Everything will stop in the reaction, close the lid, mix it, and that's great. Now, I don't want to wait another 50 seconds. So what I'm going to do is just increase the speed of the simulation a little. Let's make time tick over a bit faster. Now when I create the and put it into here and suck up and pipette out, that was all a lot nicer. Now I can close the lid, mix it. I'm already ready for the next sample at 3 minutes. You can see I'm going at a really nice pace now. And look how beautifully yellow everything is starting to become. So now ready for the 4 minute sample, which I'm going to take now and put it into here. And you can see that this enzyme is converting the pNP into lovely product as we go. So let's do a 5 minute sample, and that one goes. And I probably should mix these two tubes. Just make sure that everything is being mixed dynamically. 6 minute sample into here, and mix that one. And you can see I've got quite a nice cadence at about 3 times the normal speed. So my 7 minute sample going there, give that a mix, and now we'll just do the 8 minute sample. And actually we're getting to pretty close to using up all of that solution, aren't we? Almost all going to disappear. In fact, I think it might even disappear on this last one. Let's see what happens. So we suck up. I don't think that's actually the full amount in there. So you know what? I'm not even going to add it. So now it's a question of putting these solutions in effect. And I've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. So let's make a rack of cuvettes with 9 cuvettes and 9 empty ones. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that way round. I wanted to go 9 columns and 1 row. Thank you very much. And there are my 9 cuvettes. And now I'm going to open up all of these lids. And it's really important that I don't sample from anything that isn't. That's a complete disaster if that. Now remember, the volume that we want to put in a cuvette is 1.4. So let's suck up 1.4, put it into there, 1.4, put it into there. And again, in your particular live prac, you'll be doing this by pouring or by using some other method to get the solutions into the cuvettes. But this is looking pretty nice. We've got a lovely gradation of yellowness. And if we go and set the wavelength properly to 400 nanometers and then click on absorbance, we can see this lovely gradation. So 0, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the absorbance is going up beautifully. that shows that pNP in a lovely time-dependent manner. We could draw a nice graph. We could calculate the rate. All very straightforward. And that is exactly what we're going to do at the bench.